I met up with friends at the start of the protest. They were stewarding, so I left them for a while to march alone and met up with them again at the end. I am comfortable and capable on my own at protests, but I know that many people are not. Many organisations and groups march at each action, and they aim to stay together. Please find one and arrive at their meeting point. In the UK, Palestine Solidarity Campaign and Palestine Youth Movement are great.
It's sunrise, my loves. I'm going to go for a walk along the seafront. Oh my God. All the gods, all the deities, all the time. Would you get a load of this? This is beautiful. What a stunning morning out over the harbour. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. This is the beginning of spiritual hygiene for me. It's Wednesday morning and I'm going to go down to the beach and gift myself the wonderment of the morning. This is like the beginning of centeredness for me. It makes so much sense. I love it. Just get away from these noisy cars. Everyone's driving to work now. But not me. It's a bit early for me yet for work. At the moment I'm just doing work on myself. Good morning, my little chocolate eclairs. In a recent video that I put out, at a specific part of the video, I talk about spiritual hygiene and about how, it's possible to find the tools to be able to do things that you're going to find quite hard to do, including taking collective action by way of protest. And that if your spiritual tools that you use at the moment for defending your energetic boundaries, feeling grounded, feeling centered, etc. are not working, then you should change them up. There are tons of tools. And a few people in the comments said they really appreciated that point specifically and that they feel like I should make a video on that, or at least cut that part of the video and make it its own thing. And I thought to myself, you know what, I can probably do even better than that. I can probably stand to talk a bit more about spiritual hygiene and the routine that you can have if you're about to give a lot of energy to something that you feel you need to give your energy to, but maybe you feel wary of or afraid of, or you wonder if you can do it, you wonder if you'll be able to feel grounded and protected through it. I want to talk to you a little bit about how I managed to achieve that by taking you through the few days before a protest, I guess. I'm going to protest again on Saturday in London. There's a big demo, a big Palestine demo, and I'm going to be there. So I thought, you know what, this would be quite a good time to maybe share a little bit more in that personal way that I was in the last video, kind of keep that spirit alive a little bit. So it's Wednesday morning now, and I am at the beach. One thing that I would strongly suggest to anyone who's trying to gather together the spiritual minerals to do something all important that might be difficult or might be emotional or might involve a lot of people or might involve a lot of bravery in some cases, first thing I would suggest is to go into nature in some way, however you can. I live by the sea, so I've just walked down to like the literal nearest beach to me. It's by no means the most picturesque of the beaches near me, but look at it nonetheless. I am a lucky bitch. You do not require a beach near you to do this part of the work. All you require is like a walk, you know, say hello to some friendly dogs in your neighbourhood, touch a tree, walk on the grass, you know, depending on weather. Just get out there, take some air, be alone, maybe listen to some dramatic music. I just listened to Outro by M83 on repeat while I cried looking at the sun. That's allowed. That's important. That's all part of it. All right? Get the drama going. That's what I will say. I actually always feel like I want to go on a bit of a journey as part of my clearing, cleansing and grounding work. It's not always possible to do it in the physical realm. I've been really, really depressed before, and I've also got a spinal injury, so sometimes I, in the past, have not been able to go walking, not been able to go outside unassisted at all, actually. And so for that, the astral realm is very useful, and I find my astral travelling ability to be particularly strong for that reason. So there's always that available as well. Okay, I'm not saying it's got to be a material journey, but it's got to be a journey of some kind, alone. Just kind of taking everything in, listening to the air, watching the waves, watching the wind blow through the trees, watching the skyline, paying attention, just taking some deep breaths. During this time, I think it's kind of natural for me to think about why it is that I'm going to be doing the thing that I'm doing, and really centering into my conviction. And also, I think it's an appropriate time to feel gratitude for what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing and this time of quality that I'm having with myself. I know that might seem counterintuitive, considering that protest is always about highlighting things that are painful, you know. Yeah. So my loves, it's been a couple of days now. It's Friday tomorrow and I'm going to the protest on Saturday. I wanted to come to you and talk to you directly like this rather than have loads of little vlog pieces of what I've been doing, because I realised that vlogging it was taking me away from actually feeling into it and really absorbing it and allowing it to work for me. So I just stopped that. But I want to talk you through what I have been doing to prepare and what you can do to prepare if you want to do anything that you think is going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take a lot of effort. It might involve direct action. It might involve volunteering. It might involve being around a lot of community, being around a lot of people at the same time, taking on responsibility that you ordinarily wouldn't take on. Maybe you're hosting something, maybe you're giving of yourself in some way that you worry is going to be very destructive for your energy levels, or it's going to be really difficult for you with your empathic ability. Whatever it might be, I'm talking to those concerns that witches tend to have when they feel like they want to run away and they want to kind of like hide from the world and hide from certain realities because they feel like they don't have the strength and they don't have the armor to take things on. So I want to talk about some magical and witchy bits and some more kind of like practical groundwork that you can be doing and how that tends to play a part for me when I'm gearing up to do something that I know is going to be demanding. That's the word I would use. It's going to be demanding, but I want to do it anyway. You know, it's going to be something that is going to take some kind of toll from me energetically, but it's something that shouldn't have to destroy me energetically. It's a worthy and righteous form of energy expenditure, and I want to be ready for that challenge and I want to be prepared to go into that. That's what I want to talk about during the main bulk of this video. So what I was talking about earlier when I was on the beach was really just taking a trip with yourself, getting right with yourself, connecting with yourself. And the way I see it is kind of being with myself, essentially, knowing that I'm on this path, I'm on this journey of life. I get to decide what happens next. I get to decide what I want to put my energy and my attention into. And going on some kind of walk or some kind of like, taking some kind of space alone, whether it's astral or material, I think that always helps, in whether it's visualization, right? Or whether it's actually you're on a beach or in the woods or walking in your neighborhood, whatever it might be, whatever you can manage with your abilities and your circumstances. I think that's always a really good time to tune in with yourself and just know that it's beautiful that you have this option of deciding where you want to put your energy. And I think for me, just taking that time in sacred solitude is the first thing that I find it really useful to do when I'm preparing for something like the protest at the weekend. After that, I think what's a really good idea to do is just to go through some simple explorations, and you can make this into a journal prompt situation if you would like to. So for this exploration, for this contemplation, we're going to be thinking about why, the what not, and the what next. This is actually a really good thing to also do a tarot reading for, or a rune reading if you're into that kind of thing. It's actually something that I came up for myself as a tarot reading in the first place anyway. It was, a tarot reading originally. But nowadays I just like to sit and I like to go into my journal and just, write down a little bit of something under each subheading. So the why is the part where you think about why you are actually doing whatever you are doing in terms of whatever action you're preparing to take. Why are you doing that? What is the purpose of it? And here you can really lean into not only what your political aims are or spiritual aims or aims in terms of helping others, but you can also think about your aims for your soul. So why would you do it as opposed to not do it? In the case of something like going on a national protest, for example, which is what I'm preparing to do, part of the why would be because I don't want to feel at any point in my life like I'm a person that could have done that and didn't. I just don't, for my soul, that's not good for me. So aside from anything else, aside from I want to make my voice heard, I want to be with the like-minded, I want to show up for Gaza, I want to show up for Palestine, I want to show up for British Muslims who are very distressed in this moment. They're politically homeless in this country. They're seeing the Ummah being attacked, right? I want to show up for all of those reasons, but I also want to show up for the condition of my soul, knowing that I could be doing that and I'm not doing it is not okay with me, So write about the why, then you're going to write about the what and the what not, okay? So the what is basically what you are going to be doing. What are your plans for this situation? Whatever it is that you're going into, what are you planning on doing in terms of how you're going to approach it and what the steps are going to be? So what are your commitments? Are you meeting up with others? Are you planning to be there by a certain time? What are you planning to wear? What kind of energy are you planning to hold? What are you planning to give in terms of your commitments to the other people that are doing this thing with you, if that's applicable? You can write about what you're going to keep in mind, all of that stuff. Then by contrast, the what not, it's kind of self-explanatory. What are you not going to do? What do you not plan on bringing to this situation, this project, this activity that you're going to do? For me, a lot of the what not stuff is basic things like I'm not going to be talking to the media. I'm not going to interact with the police. I am not going to leave the protest line at any point. I'm going to stay with the protest because that's always safer to do. I'm not going to be late. That's a really good one for the what not. I'm not going to forget things. I'm not going to forget my headphones. I'm not going to forget my snacks, I'm not going to stay up late the night before. That's a really important one. I definitely stayed up late. The sort of protest that I went on where I decided to make signs, I definitely stayed up late making the signs and just watching shitloads of news. And, it's fine. I had a great protest in terms of it was safe and I felt it was meaningful and I was okay, energetically and such. But I really could have done with going to bed several hours before I did. So one of my whatnots for this time is I am not going to sit up all night. I'm going to sleep. This is also a really good time to think about anything that you're not going to do in terms of anything that would compromise your physical or mental safety to any degree that you're not happy with. And it's also a really good time to think about what you're not going to do that others might be doing. So just because you've committed to do something doesn't mean you have to do it in the same way as everybody else. I was just talking to someone the other day about their discomfort around shouting at protest. And I was saying that, you are there to be a number and to be a voice and to make your voice heard and to show support. You actually don't need to do call and response. If that's going to set off your anxiety, if it's going to give you a headache, if it's something that really makes you feel like you would rather not go and protest because that part of it is so unpleasant, or it just doesn't feel like it's you, there's absolutely no reason to do it. We must all make sure that we are within our reasonable comfort zone, and it's not for everybody. That part is not for everybody, especially not the English, actually. You know, like just culturally, we're not really so shout in the street as a nation. I mean, Friday night in the city centre maybe, but other than that, no. So, you know, you can make decisions like that for yourself if you want to as well. This would be a good time to be able to confirm for yourself that you can do this in a way that, although it might be challenging to you, is not going to be like deeply anxiety inducing for you. Then you get to do the best part of this whole process, which is what happens afterwards, what next, right? And that is basically going to be what you're going to do after the energy draining activity is over. How are you going to ground? How are you going to self-nourish? What are you going to eat? What are you going to watch? What are you going to read? Are you going to be going somewhere for drinks or dinner afterwards with other people that took part? Are you going to have a big old nap? Are you going to have like a day off of doing any major responsibility the next day? Like, what are you going to do in any way that you can, in any way that is realistic and that you can afford, to really just make sure that you give yourself something, you replenish yourself. I think this is something that a lot of people find really difficult, the idea of being able to self-nourish, and we'll go into that more in a minute, because I think it's really important. There is a lot of guilt around self-nourishment when we are focusing particularly on collective action because of violation of rights, because of violence, because of death, in the case of what I'm doing at the weekend. But I think it's actually essential to the process of being able to have consistency and longevity in your activism that you make sure that you are checking in also with self-nourishment. There is nothing wrong with that. It is actually a very good plan. It is something that will allow you to go on and do the next action and the next action and make sure that you are committed in the long term to whatever your ethics are. You know, so I think particularly in the case of things like protest and direct action, civil disobedience, there is a lot of guilt around self-nourishment and the feeling that we should be in self-deprivation because we are very concerned on a daily basis right now about people who are in deprivation. So we feel like we need to do something to kind of self-flagellate, I guess. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's necessarily a more spiritual point of view. And it has never helped me to do what I need to do, you know? So I think thinking about what comes next can be great because we can think about rest, we can think about nourishment. And if we're kind of nervous about doing whatever it is that we want to do, then we also have something to look forward to. You know, we can think like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be challenging. It's going to take a lot from me in terms of holding my boundary, holding my energy, all of that stuff, planning maybe as well. But then afterwards, this is what I've got lined up for myself. These are things that put me back into my comfort zone. They put me back into pleasure. They put me back into joy. And when it comes to protesting, there is joy at a protest. There is the joy of unification between people. There is the joy of feeling that you're taking some action that you otherwise could not have taken and perhaps felt like it was sorely misaligned with who you were not to take that action. There are moments of real compassion. There's moments of great interaction. It can be beautiful. So I'm not saying like, do this really deeply unpleasant thing, but then you can have your book and your cupcake and your bath and your, you know, I'm not saying that. But it's different, right? You know, what you do after you have engaged in something energetically challenging, what you do afterwards to reward yourself is always pleasant to think about. Self-nourishment and gratitude go basically hand in hand with each other. And they're not something that I would just suggest is supposed to be done after the difficult energetic event is over. Okay, start to do it in the lead up. Self-nourishment and gratitude are really, really good for that lead up strategy. They're good to help you prepare, to help you ground, to help you manage your energy and help your nervous system. So make sure that in the days leading up to something that you've got to do that you think is going to be energetically taxing, that you're making sure that you nourish your body and you nourish your mind and you nourish your heart. And you know the ways of self-nourishment for you. For everybody, it's different. For me, it's to sit and read, it's to have an earlier night, it's to make sure I'm drinking enough water, maybe hit the gym, you know, like it's really thinking about what I'm putting into myself so that I'm not expecting myself to do something energetically taxing while I'm running on fucking empty. You know, I'm not saying, you know, you have to go to a palatial suite at a 5-star hotel. You have to have a full holiday before you can do anything energetically taxing. I think that actually puts us into avoidance. And I think it gives us excuses to not do the things we really feel that we need and want to do, you know. But I do think that there is self-nourishment that is free, that is obvious, and that, you know, you feel better after having done. If you're old enough to be watching this video, you're old enough to know what that self-nourishment looks like. And I think in terms of gratitude, I mean, of course, I think a lot of the time, whenever we want to take collective action, we want to do something in our community, we want to do something for other people, we are often placed into gratitude anyway, as a rule. But if you feel like you need to make some gratitude lists, you want to do some journal prompts around gratitude, you want to pull some cards to allow spirit to give you direction on what you can feel grateful for, you know, you can do that as well. I think gratitude and self-nourishment both prepare us for a fight. They prepare us for a struggle. They prepare us to do something that we've committed to that we know could be draining and could be upsetting in some way. And the aim is not to, you know, to find some way of avoiding the upsetting part of it. That's not the aim. That's not the aim of life as a general rule. Life is upsetting. You know, that's part of the spectrum of the human emotions that we will feel is sadness, low moods, feeling fed up, feeling apathetic, feeling fearful, feeling angry. Those are all part of the plot of the human life story as well. So there is no need to try and figure out a way to get over that or under that or around that. You can go through that. That's part of the spectrum as well. But I think what's really important is that self-nourishment and gratitude can really help us to kind of witness what is beautiful and what we feel good about. And there's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't deprive ourselves of access to that witnessing. And for me, you know, I think it's quite impossible in a way not to experience that gratitude. When I was at the sea a couple of days ago and I took you guys with me, I cried. I cried watching those undulating waves coming in and out and watching that glorious sunrise, knowing that I'm not imminently under threat of attack from a foreign army. Knowing that I will have enough to eat for that day, that I can turn the tap on and clean water will come out of it. Experiencing that gratitude, it shouldn't be something that puts you into guilt. But it can be something that strengthens you for action. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying like, oh, if you feel guilty, that's wrong, come out of it immediately. I mean, sure, I feel that way. And I'll talk about that a bit later in the video, I'm sure, because I definitely want to do some sort of post-protest thoughts for this vlog. And I know that it's going to come up because I always feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude that goes hand in hand with guilt post-protest. And I always try to alchemize that feeling of guilt. I try and look at what is behind it. And what is behind it is my desire to be a part of any fight for liberation and freedom and justice and peace. You know, to know that I'm being called to something specific when I might have even come out of a sense of apathy or a sense of powerlessness, but somehow I've managed to push through that in order to be able to feel like at least I can do my small part for something. I want to go with that. I don't want to allow the guilt to drag me back into it and make me feel powerless and make me feel like there isn't some little thing that I can do. You know, I've never wanted that for myself and my life. So I think it's really important that I don't drop anchor at guilt. And we'll check in on that again later in the vlog as well. The next thing that might be really helpful for you, my darlings, is to do some kind of commitment ritual. When we are heading towards something that we know is going to be a big investment of energy, maybe a big investment of time or focus or space holding, it's really useful to begin by deciding that we're going to do it and really bringing our whole heart and our whole conviction to it. And one way of doing that makes sense is to perform a ritual that actually allows you to show yourself that you have clicked into that mode of having decided and now preparing to actually amp up to do it. For me, a commitment ritual actually reduces my level of indecision around how I want to approach the activity, and it reduces my level of procrastination because once I've decided, and I tend to be able to get on with it. Whereas when I feel like I'm kind of teetering on the brink of deciding or I'm not really sure, it's going to be harder for me to jump into like the next right action, essentially. So you could do a very simple commitment ritual. You could type something or write something out that states your commitment to what it is you're going to do and explores a little bit why it is that you're going to do that. And you can use really powerful words. You can bring quotes in there if you want to, or, you know, excerpts from your favorite works of fiction, excerpts from your favorite speeches. You can play around with wording to get it right. And then you can just simply light your working candle, look into a mirror, either astrally or materially, it's fine. Look into a mirror, read the words into the mirror. You also don't have to script any words for a commitment ritual. They can literally just flow out of you. And you don't have to speak words. You can say them in your head. You can say them inside yourself and feel the value of doing that. Okay, so if you're not up for speaking aloud, if you don't like that vibe, you don't have to do it for a commitment ritual. It's fine. You might also want to use some objects to carry out some actions that basically just affirm for yourself that, yes, this is something I'm going to be doing. Yes, preparing for it is now a priority. Yes, I hold the absolute full courage of my conviction in doing this, and it is a solid plan. You know, and ritual is such a personal thing. It's so customizable. It's so tailor-made to who you are and what is right for you. Some people will be using like herbs and lotions and potions. Some people will use crystals. Some people will use cards. Some people will use poppets, you know. You got to think about what it is that you really want to bring in, what objects, what colors, what tools, what ingredients. And it really could be a case of like, okay, I'm going to put this oil together. I'm going to consecrate it in the name of action and commitment. And then I'm going to put it on my pulse points and I'm just going to like, you know, just waft the scent a little bit. And then I know that I have made the commitment. It can be that simple. Or it can be something that takes many different actions and that you pre-plan for a little while and it's a more elaborate ritual. It really depends like what it is for you that really works.
Can't stop a youth alright. Stop bombing Gaza. Stop bombing Gaza. Stop bombing Gaza. Stop bombing Gaza. Stop killing children. Stop killing children. Stop killing children. Stop killing children. What do we want? Ceasefire. What do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. What do we want it? Now.
Hi darlings. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep the camera very close to me so that you're only seeing me and no one else, because I try not to invade people's privacy. But essentially the march has come to an end and we've all come to the part where there's a rally and speeches, and I wanted to give you a sense of how wild and how overwhelming it can be. There's loud noises, there's police present, here we go, they're protecting this monument here. There's lots of signs, lots of things to read, people asking you if they can take photos of your signs, you know, people coming in all directions. So this is what all the prep is for, partly, you know, and some of the stuff that you're reading on the signs and hearing in the speeches is very upsetting, of course, also. So, you know, this is why all of the energy preservation and the work is so important, and it works. It's effective, trust me. All right, let's get closer and I'll show you what's happening at the front.
And the last inquiry of the Metropolitan Police told them that they were institutionally racist, institutionally misogynist, and they've lost the face of Londoners. So get off our back. We are going to protest. And I will not give up that right to protest. Because it is not mine to give up. It is only loaned to us by the generations that came before, by the levelers, by the Chartists, by the suffragettes, and they won those things, and we will not be the generation that give them up. So keep protesting. And my solidarity with school students will go back to the onto the streets. Don't worry about your electric or about this. The most important
by the police or by racist attacks on our
Palestinian land. We keep each other safe. And we the true safety is inextricably linked to the safety of everyone who's minoritized and marginalized, including and especially Palestinians.
And last week, when our politicians had the opportunity to use their power to call for an end to the atrocities and for a ceasefire, just 56 Labour MPs voted for a ceasefire, and the rest failed the people of Palestine and they failed us. As a Labour member, I joined the Labour Party to stand for peace and for a better world. Keir Starmer, our so-called leader, should remember this is what the Labour Party stands for. We, the 76, demand representation. We demand a ceasefire. We do not need a second Tory party.
Good morning, guys. You are witnessing my bedhead. I popped over to my best friend's last night when I got back off the train from the protest. He's autistic and he suffers with panic attacks, and a protest is not a good place for him to be, so he can't attend. He's actually very, very well read on Palestine, and when we realised a long time ago that we wanted to be together, yes, my best friend is also my ex, the conversation about Palestine was the first one we had. So we talked about two important things. What's your stance on Palestine, and do you ever want to have children? It was kind of intense because we knew we were in love, right? We were going to fall in love, so we had to get clear on that. Both of those things are very important. So yeah, I went round there last night to tell him how it went and all the beautiful parts of it and what the speakers were saying and stuff. Always try and make sure you include your friends who can't take any sort of civil disobedient or direct action. You know, let them know that they're the strength behind you being able to do it, and always let them know that you appreciate them, because not everybody can play every part, you know, and that's okay. So I thought I'd say that. So yeah, I went round there last night. We watched the Exorcist sequel. It was terrible, guys. I really didn't like it. There was a couple of bits of it that I appreciated, but essentially it's a no from me, I'm afraid. Oh, the seagulls agree. It was just really, just too much of it was done on computer, really. Ellen Burstyn wasn't in it enough. Pretty gutted about that. I love Ellen Burstyn. She was the mum from the original Exorcist, for those of you who don't know. I'm a huge Exorcist fan. And I just don't really understand why they had to make the girls' foreheads so big when they became possessed. They looked like a couple of Klingons. It just didn't make sense. But I did love the root worker. She was boss. Absolute top root worker there. And I like the fact that the priest was called Father Maddox. That was funny as hell. Oh, it's freezing in England today. No, literally it's freezing. I think it's 2 degrees or it's 0 degrees. I don't know, but it's cold. Oh, I did used to live in Russia though, so I know what I'm doing. All right, let's get in and get a cup of tea, and I'll do the protest post-mortem, which basically just means have a little chat about what went down and in what order. Okay, I am showered, my loves. I am clean and showered. Post-protest thoughts incoming. Absolutely no notes. It's disgusting that people call these marches hate marches. It really is outrageous, and they clearly haven't been anywhere near one to call them that. It is fake news, my loves. To coin a term from the right, it is fake news. These marches are not violent, they are vibrant. They are vibes. They are emotional. and they are serious, but they can also be funny and kind and compassionate. They're very, very beautiful and compassionate marches. They're marches for peace, they're marches for justice, and they bring everybody together. I heard from queer speakers yesterday, Jewish speakers, and everybody was encouraged in their solidarity and encouraged to speak. And yeah, they were just beautiful. The march alone yesterday was 18,000 steps. That's not including my walk to the train station, my walk through London, my walk back from the station. The march itself was about 18,000 steps, according to my little phone stepometer, which I'm not sure how accurate that even is. It felt like more steps to me. So I am physically tired, mentally and emotionally tired as well, and that's appropriate. You know, it is tiring, and it's the best kind of tired you can be. It is so worth it, my loves. It is so worth it. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a bit of journaling later to explore my feelings about the whole thing, what I saw, what I felt, what I heard. And I would really recommend to anyone, you know, gearing up for doing something like this and then going through the process of doing it, that's part of your sort of decompression method. If you do journal, then journal, you know. I'm going to do some chanting and some meditating. I'm going to pull some cards, and the cards will be focused mostly around, you know, how I continue on from here and how I maintain the courage of my convictions. I'm going to go for dinner with two of my wonderful friends in a couple of hours. We're going to go for lunch, and we're going to be supportive towards each other and loving and have some good food. I know that for a lot of people, the guilt is quite overwhelming. I know I spoke about that earlier in the video, the guilt of being able to strengthen yourself, being able to enjoy shelter and heat and food and things like that. I would recommend not guilt, but gratitude. I think that it is the ingestion of these wonderful things that we can have that actually sort of trains us up for the fight and makes us able to do whatever it is we feel we need to do for justice and for eyeballs on the cause. And I think it's gratitude rather than guilt that is the appropriate and the healthier response to those things that we can have, those things that we can have that other people in this moment cannot. I'm currently in my flat with the heating on because it was freezing when I got in. I am not worried about this flat being imminently bombed. I am not worried about how long we've got until the assault begins again. That is something to feel hugely grateful for. I'm in a fluffy dressing gown. I have my favourite cup. There is a happy dog barking outside my window. All of these things are to feel grateful for and to lean deeper into that gratitude, to go further, to really entangle yourself with it as it unfolds for you in your heart and your mind and your body. That to me is the appropriate response, and it's the response that's going to keep me in steadfastness rather than put me into fear. I think whenever I've felt guilty, and of course I felt guilty, I'm a human being who's concerned about people that are going through hell. Of course I feel guilty about what I have that they don't have, but I don't drop anchor there. And I think that for me that's really important to remember, is that that's not actually ever really helped me to do the next thing, to take the next right action, to stand up for what I believe in. It has never helped me. It's much healthier and more helpful to be in gratitude than it is to be in guilt. So I would recommend trying to switch gears whenever that emotion comes up, the emotion of guilt, and try and switch it to being deeply, deeply grateful. And it might make you cry. And if it does, then you're a human being. How terrible is that? Oh, I think I'm going to wear something fun today, my loves. I'm going to wear something playful. And I'm going to try and be a bit playful. That's my plan. Now, let me go and adorn myself. Let me go and get dressed, darling. Okay, my darlings, this is the lunchtime vibe from me. I've got my Angels with AKs jumper on, which I love. I'm wearing a leather skirt. It is not real leather because I am a vegan. And I have my Converse on. And look at my earrings. They're little lollipops.
because I am a child. I'll leave the link down below to where I got the lollipop earrings on Etsy. Got some flowers in the hair, always good. I'm gonna put a coat on because it's fucking freezing in England, I must say. And I'm going to don my Pally colours, which I do every day. To be honest, it's my scarf of choice. Voila. There we go. Okay, and I've got my Princess Diana bag today. A little charity shop number that I got ages ago. I call it a Princess Diana bag because, like, look at it. It's very official, darling, very official. All right, lunchtime. This will be the end of the video, I think, my darling. So, yeah, take care, stay safe, stay active, and blessed be. Mwah, much love.
Oh, a vlog, darling, yes.
Who are you? You're Maddox.
Yes, exactly. Who do you think I am? Do you want to be my vlog coder? Hello, baby. Hello, baby. You're a good boy. You're such a good boy. Yes, you are. Oh, God, he's perfect.
Did you order these? Yes.
Hey, excuse me, Coda.
You can smell it.
I'm now very, very pleased that we ordered the fries as well. Going all out.
I hope you enjoy everything.
Thank you. Oh my God, that is me in dog form. Look at it. Look at the trot.
That is you. Just need a little flower in his hair and it'll be you.